Welcome to If I Did It, a show where we solve PR kerfuffles from the MMA world and beyond. I'm your host, Lexi Old, and joining us as always is Kid Native Bloody Elbow and Eugene S. Robinson of Aussie.com and author of Fight Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Ass Kicking, but we're afraid you get your ass kicked for asking.
There you go. So simple, a child could do it.
But a kid
could not. Damning with faint praise, while insulting Kid Nate in the process.
Speaking about children and insults, let's get right into it. Eugene?
Yes, sir.
You're the UFC. RDA has just dropped out of your main event match with Conor McGregor. Is it better for business to risk north cutting your Irish cash cow? Or do you keep Conor in cryo for a super fight?
No. I mean, first of all, you got to understand that this marks an occasion where, once again, Mystic Mac has, done it. I think he's effectively crawled inside these guys' brain pans, and I don't think RDA is in the same place that Jose Aldo was, because the build-up didn't last as long. But I think what happened is, in RDA's case, he trained so fucking hard because he couldn't possibly risk being Jose Aldo that he pushed himself over the point where the body reaches. It's like physics. There's a point of complete failure when you push your body. The idea of mastery of the sport is to pull just shy of that so that you're performing at peak, not going over the edge. So, if I am betting, I have my stopwatch going, I am betting that before this day is out, McG fires back, calls the guy a coward, says, "I told you so." He's ducking me. He's doing what he's supposed to do, which is to hype the fight beyond all measure so that it's still good whether or not he loses to Cerrone, which is, I guess, what they're looking at next, right?
So that's what you would do. You would go with Cerrone.
That's the last rumor I heard. The man who doesn't know what money is will not ask for a lot of money for this, even though it's a big money fight. They've been kind of chattering at each other for a little bit. He'll try some smack. Conor will get off some great cowboy crap, and it's in my mind, he still has nothing to lose. He can still jackknife RDA into fight him, even if he loses to Cerrone.
Also, if he goes up against Cerrone, who just fought at 170, who has to make that weight cut now, so reduce Cerrone to a certain degree.
Fast and Furious. I'm hearing now that he beat Cerrone, then they have him looking at Lawler. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy shit. That's what you have when you have an it guy, and it still doesn't ruin him or his rightful place in the history, which is as the owner of the belt in his division. So Jose Aldo's made a prediction. Conor McG won't hold the belt by the end of this year. Whatever, man. Right now, he is the fucking Messiah. So there's nothing that he can do in my mind. Any way he goes, he makes money. What does a bald one do?
Right.
Let the people decide.
So what do you think, Nate?
Well, I think Cerrone's in there, and Nate Diaz is the other guy in there. My bet is that it's going to be Nate. But they turned down Khabib Nurmagomedov. So that'll tell you what they're protecting Conor from, which is elite wrestlers.
I heard that had Ramadan.
What? A Ramadan?
Yeah, I thought Ramadan was interfering in his participation.
No, what I only tweeted was that Team Khabib offered to replace Dos Anjos, and UFC said no. That's.
Oh.
I think Khabib can't do UFC 2000 because of Ramadan.
200. Yeah,
200.
they're not
He can't do 2000 either.
I like how you're doing the Bellator thing of getting rid of a zero. Dada 500. Yeah, sure, buddy. How come I don't have your job?
Yes, well, Ramadan's not happening in March, and they didn't want Khabib anyway. I think that's pretty smart because I think Khabib has an excellent chance of ragdolling Conor all over the cage. And for 5 long rounds, that could snuff the Conor McGregor money machine. Cerrone and Nate Diaz will not do that. Conor has an excellent chance against both guys. I'd pick him hands down to beat him, especially on short notice, which is fine with the UFC. They're going to keep the Conor thing going. They don't have the great opponent they thought they had for him in RDA, but
Does it make a difference to you, though, if you're UFC, whether it is Cerrone or Diaz at this point, though, Nate?
No, one is a bigger money fight.
What?
One is a bigger money fight. I don't know which one, but I'm going for Nate.
Yeah,
well,
I think
Nate
Nate
will
is
cost him more and be worth more.
well with Nate. The thing with Nate, which would be a funny dynamic, is the build-up, any kind of extended build-up in theory that you have with Nate Diaz increases the trash talking and the special nature of it. However, the further away you get from it, the riskier it gets. So I don't know if a perfect storm of just putting this stuff together within a 2-week span and seeing how much trash talk you can engender. For interest is already in there for the fight. I mean, he said, you see this tweet? He said, only if you get on your hands and knees and beg.
Yep, I saw that. But the main thing is, UFC. Wait, you talked for a long time. I got to talk. UFC is no way the UFC is gonna. No way.
Guys, touchy.
I'm just saying, the UFC has got to have this fight. They have not had a big pay-per-view all year. These guys are in the money today business. These are not long-term thinkers. These are guys that like to get their money now. Sure, they invested $40 million back in the day, but these days they're used to the UFC producing cash in a big way. So they're not postponing Conor McGregor. They've got Conor McGregor lined up. They're going to have a big fight card on March 5th, come hell or high water. It's going to feature Conor McGregor. Now, Eugene, you can come.
No, I was just I was asking. Who was the bigger money fight? I mean, the smack talk for Nate would just be great, but I don't know if he's got a record of just saying, "Yeah, sure, I'm ready. Yeah, sure, I'm ready. Yeah, sure, I'm ready." He does have a record of asking for a lot of money. That kind of GSP money. That kind of Jesus Christ money. So.
Cerrone will pay more, but the commission greenlight Cerrone fighting twice in 2 weeks. That's the big question.
That's the question. I guess we'll find out by the end of the day. I mean, he's been, for such a loudmouth, he's been amazingly quiet. Nothing from McG, right?
He's probably pretty upset about losing RDA, I would think, but no telling. And it's also notable that Jose Aldo has been going around saying he'll fight McGregor, he's training and staying ready, and when the moment comes, he's not ready. Frankie Edgar in the same boat, also injured. Unless...
Well, you know what? I mean, people realize this is for what it is. Yeah, he is the it guy. Yeah, it'll be Red Panty night, but it'll also mark a quick shunt right into that phantom toll booth, man. I mean, seriously, if you are Jose Aldo and you lose the second time, where are you?
Well, speaking about where you are.
Yeah. If you're RDA and you lose once, where are you?
Right.
This is the thing with an it guy, man. We're talking career-ending shit. The deal is with Cerrone, he comes in, he's got the most favored status. He saves a fight. He makes himself some money. Not much, because he doesn't know what money is. And he gets the bald guy's favor. And he loses, no harm, no foul. He's still okay. But for the other guys, man, this is a big. It's
not bad for Nate Diaz either.
What's that?
It's not bad for Nate. I mean, Nate Diaz has essentially nothing to lose here.
No, it'll be win or lose. Nate Diaz has got his thing. That's the thing. The it quality comes in all shades and sizes. I mean, the Nate Diaz it thing, that 209 thing, is reliable. Nobody else is bringing it except for him and his brother. It works. They do it better than anybody.
But there's another it factor that comes in different shapes and sizes too, but there's an SH attached to it. And so I'm going to lead it to you, Nate. You're Bellator. Just when you thought you can breathe easier with a cardiac Kimbo KO victory, you had to issue a statement acknowledging Dada 5000 dropped from dehydration and renal failure. If Viacom commands you to continue chasing ratings with the Kimbo Freak Show, how can you transition this unique yet precarious Slice viewer spike into long-term success for the Bellator brand?
That is more puns in one question than I can really comprehend, but they're in a tough spot. The ratings came in. Kimbo peaked at 2.7 million. That shatters all the previous Bellator records. That's getting into the neighborhood of where Kimbo was 7-8 years ago when he was on CBS. The fact that the fight was complete garbage and anybody watching it knew it was complete garbage complicates things a little bit. Dada 5000 nearly dying in the hours after the fight. I mean, dude went into cardiac arrest, I believe. I didn't get his medical report, but that's my understanding. That's serious shit. That's because he took a 40-pound weight cut. This is a guy who's middle-aged, out of shape, not a professional athlete, doing terrible things to his body. And if he had died in the cage, that would be it for Bellator. Like, that would be the end of the freak shows. As is, this is a big red warning light. And I think what they need to do is book Rampage Jackson versus Kimbo Slice. Like, let's lance the Kimbo foil once and for all.
You're close. You're close. But,
take it away, Mr. Fuchsia.
Let me okay, clear your head for a second. Take a deep breath. I'm gonna float. Yep, I'm gonna float some names in front of you, and when I do, this is like George Bush talking about the Dan Quayle pick. When you hear it, you will know it's the most genius thing that anybody has ever said. And that Mike Kogan, of all people, is listening. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Kimbo Slice versus Bob Sapp. Yeah, there you go, baby.
Hey, that's good. That's good. If you want to stretch it out, you know you want to see it. You know?
The thing is, Bob Sapp weighs more than 265 pounds. He cannot cut down to 265 pounds, and nobody is sanctioning super heavyweight fights. So, but on the other hand, Bob Sapp is guaranteed to drop within 30 seconds, and you won't have any of that ugly floundering around.
Right, and people would pay to see it. Rampage, you know, he was to beat up an old man. He's going to beat up Kimbo's like old man. But, you know, I mean, look. You know, they have a thing in Thailand with Muay Thai. They used to say in the old days, our sport is perfectly safe. Nobody dies in the ring. And you know what they used to do? They would drag you out of the ring, and then you die on the floor. Very different than dying in the ring. I mean, you know, a guy, you know, there's an IV thing, no IV thing. The guy's a fat son of a bitch. He can't, and he loses, and he dies. That would be a tragedy for his family, but it would be a tragedy for the sport. A major black eye. I don't know about Doug Dedge, and for those of you to refresh your memory, one of the ultimate an MMA fighter who died in Ukraine late in the day, alternate. Just said, I can do it. Coach jumped in and ended up getting killed in the cage. I don't know if that promotion still exists. Okay, it was in the Ukraine, but still. But, you know, this is like skiing, man. You got a PR issue, but it is also a sport, like Frank Mir said, where big guys, it's a dangerous sport.
Yeah. So how do you enable this freak show then? Going back to the question, you have Kimbo Slice. He's providing eyeballs on your product, and you know, a masterful knuckle up talking about the whole, you know, the whole spectacle of everything and getting what you paid for. But so, how do you leverage this? How do you leverage the eyeballs to the brand as a whole to protect the brand from his inevitable downfall?
Well, you know, you know what? We used to have this thing called 2 slaps and a kiss, and it's I'm sure Kid Nate is taking notes now as a way to deal with enemies. You know, you attack, then reconciliation, then attack and attack. You know, so they give you this shit sandwich, and then followed up with Phil, Mr. Wonderful versus King Mo, a real legitimate card that
right.
With a UFC card, you'd want to see it, you know. So now, you know, what do they gamble on? They gambled on the eyes, the major look factor. They got the eyes, and they followed up with so that you forget the slap, and you go, this is great, man, this is great. And then, you know, this is a fight in San Jose, friendly territory. Josh Thompson's on the card. A lot of guys are on the card, former UFC guys. It is a solid product, as solid a product as you're going to get. And you know what they're going to, dollars to donuts, what they're going to shill at that fight? Another slap. You know, I don't know what the slap is going to be, but it'll be another slap. So instead of 2 slaps and a kiss, he's got slap, kiss, slap, kiss, slap, kiss. Man, it'll keep people going for ages.
Well, especially if they put Yankova in the crowd like they did last time. I don't know if you saw that. Like, making out with the camera.
Yes.
You know, Scott Coker, like I said, they're 2 things. It's binary. Scott Coker's an idiot or Scott Coker's a genius. There's no middle ground here. He didn't book that fight by accident. It wasn't like they're just sitting around going, oops, I think it'll be a great fight. Nah, Come
They
on.
got the ratings, which is what they needed to keep Bellator going and keep Bellator on Spike TV. The problem was they didn't book anybody that built anything. Like the undercard fights that were serious fights went nowhere. I think that the Hoist and Kin fight was one toke over the line, sweet Jesus. They didn't need 2 freak show fights that were terrible, although at least that one was quick. But they really needed Michael Venom Page or somebody, anybody that's on their roster that's exciting, that's dynamic, that people would get interested in. That's the whole argument for booking those
I'm
freak show
pushing for
fights.
Liam McGreary, man. I love that guy.
Yeah, Liam McGreary would have been great. Getting Tito Ortiz back in there and getting somebody over on Tito would have been great too. But I think they need to get Kimbo integrated into one of their divisions and let somebody get over on Kimbo and put Kimbo out to pasture. I think Kimbo is a handful to deal with. He wants a lot of money, and he delivers ratings, but he doesn't deliver so much the fighting. And so, and he's brought down one promotion
Bellator
already.
kickboxing. Put him in Bellator kickboxing, like was some have thought would be.
Yeah,
good.
I think that makes perfect sense. Put him in a boxing match on a kickboxing card would be perfectly legit.
Maybe. I mean, I didn't see a whole hell of a lot of kicks in this fight.
No, he boxed professionally 7-8 times. You can find somebody that at his level or less and get him over that way. I mean, Kimbo's got marquee value. Kimbo brings in eyeballs. Keep using Kimbo as long as you can. It's a cold, cruel world.
Yep.
So there you go. It goes into the next question. Eugene, let's go back to you, Mr. UFC.
Sir.
You are the UFC. With
I
Joe
am,
Rogan.
I am Christmas.
I am Tiger Woods. I'm Hoist Gracie.
Oh, my God. I'm Spartacus.
I am Spartacus.
I am for the win.
With Joe Rogan and others blasting Bellator's amateur hour that led to Dada 5000's near-death experience, are there lessons you can apply in your PR prep to protect and preserve Punk's promotional value?
You know what? CM Punk's professional value. This is interesting. This is like the Suge Knight thing. When Suge Knight sat down with the actuarial tables and said, this is how much money I make off of Tupac now. This is how much money I make off of Tupac dead.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. So, they look at CM Punk. This is how much money I would make if CM Punk actually fights. This is how much money I make if Punk doesn't fight. I mean, his value is exactly the freaking same. What do you think is going on when Joe Rogan is taking shots at CM Punk? What do you think is happening? What do you think? Do you think the injury that he has is bona fide? Do you think that now they've upgraded this fighter, Mickey Gall, that this is he can't cool his heels until this guy, he's got to fight again. He's going to prop that guy up for how long? How much value does CM Punk have, really? I mean, yeah, Kid Nate floated the idea, which I think is a solid one, that, it was a way to keep him out of the clutches of Bellator. It's pretty clear that was a smart move, but,
right.
but I mean, I don't think UFC has to carnivalize itself to be significant. I just think they have to be a little less corporate, I mean, I'm not saying even meet halfway. I'm just saying lose a little bit of the corporate touch, give us a little bit of sass, and you can let that guy go. Put him out there. Nobody. But, I mean, we're all just wanting to see him get his ass kicked anyway. So he's one and done at best, I mean, I prefer him as a footnote. As he is now, I'm deriving as much pleasure out of him as I would when he gets his ass kicked.
How about you, Nate?
That's pretty fair. I think he's in James Toney country, where it's like, let the guy get in the cage, let somebody beat him, call it a day, call it a career, move on, cut him down the road. Of course, he's delaying this with all the injuries and the delays, so I think they keep dragging it out. I mean, people are sort of still interested in hearing about CM Punk. I think even letting Rogan loose to start criticizing him, it builds their credibility as an organization. Hey, we're not some kind of Stalinist thought-controlled police. We let our own announcer criticize our business decisions and rip into one of our star attractions or possible star attractions. Like, it's a win-win for the UFC. He's not costing him any money while he's not fighting, so, just kick the can down the road and keep on trucking.
Yep.
Well, one person who's going to have a problem keep on trucking. Nate, you're Ronda Rousey. You went on Ellen last week and claimed you were still undefeated after redefining the word, pondered your worth in defeat, and immediately lost the sympathy summoned from acknowledging suicidal thoughts by admitting your salvation was to be found by BWB, Breeding with Brown. Is it time to whip out new
t-shirts? Calling. Sorry.
Is it time to whip out new t-shirts, or is your DNB branding still intact?
Rhonda needs to, I think, take a little hiatus from media affairs. TMZ was running another suicide headline I didn't get to check out today, but like, yeah. I mean, I think people were willing to say, whoa, Rhonda really takes this seriously. She lost badly. She's entitled to say some crazy things, to feel some down thoughts, to even talk about suicide, which she probably did think. I'm not going to doubt. You know, I've thought about suicide when my car wouldn't start and I was stuck at the strip mall. It's like, I cannot wait for this tow truck to come. What? What? Huh? Yeah, so anyway, she threatened suicide. She played that card. Then immediately the Travis Brown thing. Just she needs to ixnay on the Avastay and just lay low for a little while. Do her next movie. She needs to be focused on Tina Fey and whatever. I can't even remember which one of her bitch taglines they're using for the movie. Is it Do Nothing Bitches? Yeah.
DNB the movie.
Yeah, DNB the movie. I would stick with that because people are going to see her. You know, acting is hard, but comedy is really hard. Yep. And I would not want to be directing or doing the rewrites on that script because something tells me that is going to be a difficult production. So if I were Rhonda, I would focus on her acting, focus on her comedy timing, chill, and shut the fuck up. That's my advice.
Well, I'm close. If I'm Rhonda, I get fucking Freddie Roach. I get Teddy Atlas. You know, I create the illusion that I'm hanging out at Spago's and I'm spending every available moment in the gym doing the almost unimaginable, which is learning how to fucking box. I mean, boxing is one of those rare sports where, look, you know, I've only been studying jiu-jitsu solidly, like day in and day out for the past 6 years. You know, okay, I started training in grappling mixed martial arts 19 fucking years ago, and I'm still no good, you know, but I'm not bad, you know. Okay, if I had started boxing at the same point, I would still suck. It's a big difference. You know, it's a hard sport. If you want any kind of fun, all you have to do is get enough edge to scare Holly into thinking like, oh shit, she's actually. I've been rope-a-doped here. I thought she was hanging out at Spago's, thinking about, you know, epitest and having babies. In actual fact, she's been working with serious boxing. Okay, now I got to think of a take two. Let's take it down, arm bar. Look, if I'm Rhonda, and I think I got this correct, she's not thinking about much else other than Holly right now. Right. I mean, seriously, in her heart of hearts, because you got to understand, the reason why actors go fucking crazy is because you only film for at most 8 weeks. That's a long shoot, solid 8 weeks. And after that, you're back to being unemployed. They're doing what they do, editing, scoring, ads, marketing, and you're just sitting at home thinking, the fuck am I going to do? You know, maybe you're reading scripts, maybe you're doing something else. But if she is not training, she should quit. And I suspect strongly that she is training because her boyfriend is training. You know, her fiance or whatever, whoever the fuck he is. So she's there. This is not. I mean, this is why a second loss to Holly Holm, case closed, Lost Battalion. Goodbye. Thanks for coming. Never see you again because I suspect she's going to put everything into making a credible return.
Well, that brings us to our teachable moment. Nate, you're Bernie Sanders. Ain't life unkind? It was fun while it lasted, but Hillary Clinton is poised for a comeback as a result of multiple hit pieces attacking your economic plan, party elites rallying the troops, and despite early hiccups, signs that the DNC political machine is back up and running as planned. How can you, Bernie, with your heart beating and your eyeglasses shining, keep your dream of a presidency lying with you on a Super Tuesday morning?
Bernie's got to play the expectation game. The thing that screwed him in Nevada was the expectations earlier. If you told people 6 months out that Bernie was going to be within 5 points in Nevada, people would be like, what? Bernie, 74-year-old socialist Sanders is going to be within 5 points of Hillary Clinton right there in Harry Reid's headquarters? You're crazy. That's never going to happen. But because he won New Hampshire so overwhelmingly and did so well in Iowa, virtual tie, people expected him to win Nevada, which was crazy. He was never, ever going to win Nevada, and he's never, ever going to win South Carolina. He needs to make a big show of writing off South Carolina, conceding South Carolina, getting people focused on Texas and all the other Super Tuesday states, Oklahoma, Michigan, Vermont, everything else that's coming up, and still work South Carolina. He's got quite a bit of money for a candidate in his position. He needs to work South Carolina and exceed expectations, but what he needs to do now is dampen expectations. And he also needs to tell his supporters to settle down, guys, because at the end of the day, Bernie's running to push an issue. He's not really running to be president. I think sometimes when he wins things, he starts thinking, well, wow, maybe this could happen. But he's a pretty shrewd guy. He's running to make a point. He's running to get his issues into the debate. He needs to focus on continuing to pull Hillary to the left, setting himself up for a nice big convention speech, setting his supporters up for a natural segue into the Clinton community, and not burning bridges and having these stupid fistfights. And the Clinton campaign's been worse, and I'm more mad at them because she's the one that's going to need young voters to turn out in the fall, and just cannot afford a scorched earth strategy because those people barely vote anyway. You can drag them to the polls, and half of them still won't vote.
Right.
So,
what do you think about the possibility of him as a running mate?
No chance in hell. Never happening. 74-year-old running mate? No way.
You don't think he'll agree, or you don't think she'll ask?
She won't ask. No, she won't ask.
She should.
That would be interesting. It would be interesting. I'm afraid she's going to go for an empty suit like Castro from Texas. But
yeah, I know. They're talking him up. I don't think that's the right move. And I'm gonna have to. Kid Nate almost said it, and he didn't say it. He didn't say it. So I'm going to say it, okay? Somebody in the mass media has kind of edged up to it, but they didn't really quite say it. They kind of said it, and that's that going into the southern states, I think there's an awareness. I'm not tarring everybody with the same brush, but I think there might be an awareness of the church that Bernie goes to.
Right.
You see, Bernie doesn't go to church. Bernie goes to a synagogue.
Which he doesn't even go to that.
Yeah, and if it doesn't matter in New York, it doesn't matter in California, but you can't tell me it doesn't matter in fucking Mississippi. I will not believe you. You are deluded if you believe it doesn't matter.
But who votes in the Mississippi Democratic primary, Eugene?
What's that?
Who votes in the Mississippi Democratic primary? Black people and super, super liberals. I don't think it's going to be a big factor there. I think there's more anti-Semitism.
But they're not voting for dude.
Well, black folks, my theory on why black folks are not voting for Bernie yet is the same reason they were reluctant to support Obama until he won Iowa. They're not voting. They're voting for their lives here. Like if you're black and you're in Mississippi, you're in a perpetual state of self-defense. And the OFAs are always scheming.
I like that.
Hey, I'm an OFA myself, so I can say it.
Self-hating OFA.
That's right. The crackers are always coming at you, and they're devious and relentless, and they're shutting down voter ID laws and all kinds of crap. They've got to vote for the Democrats. It's serious business. If you're engaged politically and you're African American, you vote, and you vote seriously. Now, plenty of African Americans are not engaged in the process because they've given up. But the ones that do are very skeptical, and they're waiting for Bernie to show them something. And they've seen the Clintons beat Republicans. They've never seen Bernie beat Republicans. So he's got a massive uphill fight.
The thing that you mentioned, though,
that's it. That's nice too. Except what you're doing is taking the light off of what I still think is a virus in America, and that's.
No, I'm actually gonna. I was gonna talk about it because that actually, on a national level, when Gore had Lieberman as his vice presidential candidate, I had friends who were doing campaigning in the South, and they were shocked when they came back and saw to report the fact that people told them, "Well, I'm a lifelong Democrat. I liked Clinton. I like Gore." but Lieberman is a Jesus killer.
Yep.
And he would, he and she would hear it over and over and over and over and over again.
Every time
and
you
just totally shook their faith. Totally shook their faith. What'd you say?
I said every time you call Kid Nate's house, what you got?
Lies. My Jewish ex-wife would have been answering the phone at that point.
To which I would say, Entspannen.
Uh-oh.
You
Here
just
it comes.
In German means uncock, like a gun. Also means relax, and it introduces our curveball. Thank you very much.
Go right on ahead, Eugene. The curveball, to add to the curveball mischief, brought to you this week by Eugene S. Robinson. Eugene?
This specter first raised its head, so to speak, by none other than Joy Behar, who looked at a study that found that the men on the planet with the smallest penises happen to be German men. As of 2 days ago, a book came out that...
I thought it was Japanese men.
What's that? Yeah, Japanese men as well. Strange. 2/3 of the Axis powers. Also an explanation that I've made publicly about why the Italians were such bad fascists, because they don't have that problem.
Hey.
So the book comes out and alleges, we've heard about Hitler being a monarchid, which means he had one testicle. Now they've uncovered records that indicate not only was he a monarchid, but he had a disease that resulted in a micropenis. And if you look at Nazi propaganda consistently, very different from Italian propaganda, Italian fascist propaganda, Nazi propaganda always focused on a sexual element weirdness in regards to the Jewish issue. The male Jew figures were plundering, seducing away Frauleins. So, look, I know lots of guys with small penises. None of them will admit to this, but, if you go to orgies...
I'm right here. I'm not ashamed.
Yeah, here you go. If you go to orgies, you know this. You know the deal. But they don't kill 12 million people.
You got to put this into a question. You can't just rant about Hitler's small penis. You're never getting the curveball.
Okay, all right.
He's asking and answering. Asked and answered himself.
Does Hitler's small penis in any way mitigate the deaths of 12 million people? There's your question, Alex.
No, that's a terrible question.
That's not my show. What the hell? I'm not. Unless you got the magic. I don't know. I now the curveball comment wasn't for me. What do I know?
Yeah. All right, let's never do that again. All right.
No, now we have to address it. Now we brought up Hitler, Nazis, penises. We got to discuss.
All right.
Nate?
Well, what? I need a question. What am I supposed to do? Am I doing PR for Hitler's penis here?
Like, leave me here. What's the question?
Okay, so here's the thing. You're Hitler's micropenis. A seance has been conducted, and now we're in touch with you.
Well, there's already been an angry Samoan
defend
song.
Your master.
There's an angry Samoan song called "They Saved Hitler's Cock," and that's the authority I'm going to go on. And there's nothing about a micropenis in there, and I think those guys knew what they were talking about. So, case closed. Take that, scientist.
I know a guy. Let me get this straight. There was a foursome, I guess more correctly called a gangbang. And one of the guys at the gangbang was like Kilroy. All you could see were his fingers in his head above the edge of the bed. And you're like, what the fuck is that guy doing? And he's like doing this terrible gangbang thing. He decides to provide the soundtrack of Sexy Talk. So he's like, yeah, baby, yeah. And all you see is his figure, you're like, what the fuck is this guy doing? This guy's like 6'4". And what the fuck he's doing? Finally, after the other two guys in the room, finish, and the woman's laying there, the guy rises like a Leviathan. But that's the only Leviathan comparison that makes any sense, because dude had a micro penis, right? The penis was so small that the other two guys, in fear, fled. Right?
Like it's contagious.
And then one of the guys called the other guy and said, "Did you leave that lunatic in the room?" And I go, I mean, the other guy said, Anyway. The other guy says, a guy with a penis that small, you don't know what he'll do. And that's it. That's it.
He might invade Poland. All right.
He might invade Poland.
So, speaking of invasions, we have a viewer question from Omar.
Omar, yes.
I'm going to leave this to you, Eugene. Your Sony Records, your star Kesha accused your star producer Dr. Luke of raping her when she was 18. Kesha recently sued to get out of the contract, and the judge denied her claims. Now you're stuck with an angry mob of fans wanting you to release her from her contract. With one of the few stars that can sell records, what do you do?
Hey man, if nobody's gotten to him, they need to get to him. He's gotta take it. He's gotta take this one. The look isn't good, given their constituency, given the fact that people in the industry will remember. You know, who the fuck is he gonna get now? You know how much money women stars make? Women, you know, between the Katy Perrys, between the Pinks, between the Aguileras. I mean, this is
you mentioned several people that are still working with him and have been notoriously quiet on this matter. So there's still some people sticking with Dr. Luke here.
This is the stink, and this is a stink. You gotta get. You know, this is the kind of thing. If I'm Dr. Luke, you know, I'm thinking of one person and one person only. I'm thinking of Abe Vigoda. You know, I'm thinking of Abe Vigoda when he says, Michael can't do that. He's gonna screw up all our plans. He goes, yeah, hey, I'm not going either, Tessio. I'm gonna stay here. And he's like, fuck. You know, that's what Dr. Luke should be thinking about right now. Because between you and Kesha, you gotta go. You gotta go. Until you're selling fucking records, you gotta go. Nobody needs this Bengali act when it involves rape. Okay, and you know, maybe he didn't do it. Maybe he didn't do it. In this Bill Cosby environment, man, you are not afforded the benefit of the doubt.
And Taylor Swift cut a $250,000 check, allegedly.
Yep.
And then you have people that work with him.
Besides, at that point, you were like, you know what? I don't want to keep any. You know, Prince got out of his contract by calling himself the Glyph for however many months he needed with the Warner Brothers thing. You got it. You know, if Dr. Luke doesn't show up, nobody cares.
My understanding is that Sony's not even holding on the Dr. Luke line. They're like, she can work with anybody. Call Timberland, whoever. Get a producer work. Just give us some tracks. That's all. That's.
Well, the thing also is what people are forgetting is the fact that this was actually the preliminary injunction, a response to that. So it's not saying. I mean, a lot of the outlets, news outlets, have said, "Oh, the judge said no rape happened. This is horrible." No, what's happening is a preliminary injunction, they're very rarely granted. It's a situation where Kesha's asking for permission to break her contract before there is a ruling. And the judge said, as most judges would, hey, look, it's a little too soon for that. All right? We need to go through the process. We need to have discovery. We need to go through a lot more before we can give you that kind of relief. It's not a function where she's saying that it didn't happen and you're stuck with Luke forever. It's just at this stage, there's not enough information to make this determination.
You know, and that's why you're an attorney. Because as you dragged us both into the weeds, I was floating above the crowd. I was thinking about lunch. I was thinking about...
The only phrase that sprung into my mind was billable hours. That's what I heard.
What are you talking about here?
No,
but it's very rarely. I mean, if you actually look at how often preliminary injunctions are granted, and the thing is, this is a strategy, of course, that her legal team is taking. It's a situation where if you want to get out of the contract, you're making a public stink, you're suing, and you see how far. It's not going to go to a decision, right? This is all a function of just raising as much of a stink as possible.
You are lost in the weeds of the forest if you don't realize that now this has become a full-blown PR battle.
No, it has. No, I totally agree with that. I mean, I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying
she's winning the PR
is it's not over.
Right. Yeah. And she's kicking ass right now. So,
yep.
You know, I mean, the song about brushing her teeth with Jack Daniels is all I know about Kesha. That's it. You know, my kids listen to her. That's about it. But this has my attention because, you know, get the fuck out of the contract, baby. All right, I like it.
Yeah.
What about you, Nate?
However, that seems to assume that what she's alleging is actually not right and that this is a ploy. In actual fact, I have no idea. I have no idea.
Right.
Well, Sony's in a tough dilemma. This reminds me of one of those Chinese stratagems, like beat the grass to drive the snakes into the forest or something. Because what's happening is people are talking about rape. She's jumped onto the Bill Cosby discussion, the Steubenville discussion. This ugly American culture thing about we like our raping and we don't like girls complaining about it. That's and people are tired of that. And so it's entirely possible it's true, in which case that's totally appropriate ground for her to pick to fight on. But Sony's trying to defend something else, which is basically the slave contract that they've been giving out to musicians since the beginning of the music business, and they need to defend that shit because that's all they've got.
Yeah.
They don't manufacture records anymore. They just do PR and marketing and have these onerous contracts they hold people to. They need to cut their losses on Kesha and Dr. Luke. Give this girl whatever she wants to get her to shut the fuck up, because people are not just talking about the rape aspect. I'm noticing people that don't usually know much about music business going, what kind of contract is this?
Right.
And if that comes out and that becomes the issue, and then people go, yeah, remember when Prince was mad? Remember when Madonna was mad? Remember when Eddie Vedder was mad? This is what they were talking about. And you get, it gets harder and harder for the record industry. And they're fighting on multiple fronts. They're busy fighting with Spotify or fighting for Spotify, but they've been at war with the artists for a long time. They need to concede this issue, in my opinion.
You know what? There was once a point in time where me and two friends of mine were beating to death a suspected rapist. Well, he wasn't suspected. He had attempted rape. So we were beating him to death. And the Puerto Rican guys who lived in the tenement above which we were beating him to death told us to stop. All right? We ignored them. We did not thinking that they were drug dealers. They happened to be drug dealers. And we ignored them until we hear this metallic ting, 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 ting. And the guy in the second-story window has got his pistol, and he's knocking it against the door frame and said, I told you leave him alone. Now, these guys weren't humanitarians, and they didn't give a fuck why we were beating this guy half to death. They just didn't want the heat, that's going to come from a guy being beaten to death on their doorstep when the cops come by. Sony should take note.
Right. No, that's true. And that's what this suit is all about. And it sounds almost like a very fascinating transition to the Lost Battalion.
Ding, 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 ding. We need some theme music. Somebody's got to suggest some theme music to announce a Lost Battalion. It's like in those movies in the 70s before people were like...
The Streets of Laredo, Eugene.
Maybe. That could maybe. But, every time they had a Chinese Asian character in TV shows in the 70s, they play ding, 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 ding. Like, without that music, you wouldn't know he was Asian.
Because he was a white actor, usually.
Well, this was best dealt with in a porn from the 70s called Inside Jennifer Wells, where every character was introduced by ethnic music. Like when the guy was Greek, it was music from Zorba the Greek. It was like, fuck, man, this is genius, The German guy comes in and it's like, you deflate a mouse or something. It's like, that was pretty amusing. That's porn's gold from the 70s.
I see. Well, that's touching. Do you have a Lost Battalion proposal?
Me?
Yeah. It's Eugene's Lost Battalion. Huh?
I'm going to make the same pick I made on Knuckle Up. I'm doubling down on it so everybody could hear, because we've got twice as many viewers as I did on Knuckle Up. Rhonda. Rhonda, baby.
Make your case for those who haven't seen it. I saw it, and I think it's a good suggestion.
In American life, there's a thing that happens, and you can feel it. And you know how you can feel it? Because you get a terrible feeling inside. When you saw Tom Cruise, I don't care what you felt about Tom Cruise, when you saw Tom Cruise jump on that couch on Oprah, you knew, you had that feeling inside like, oh my God, Tom Cruise just died.
Yep.
There's a moment, and the talk shows do it to you. On Knuckle Up, I talk about being on Jenny Jones, and everybody on those shows, they all enable you. They all want to get you to that moment, because the last thing people remember is that show. You don't remember Tom Cruise after the couch. So that means the high point is Oprah, the couch, and Tom Cruise. So the shows want to encourage that behavior. Ellen wants to encourage that behavior. single, the most definitive proof. I didn't really lose that fight. I didn't really that bad. Oh, Jesus Christ. She's standing out by the woodpile with Chris Weidman, 100% guaranteed. Some guy said, well, wait till after the rematch. I'm willing to. Come on, man. Are you honestly going to sit there and say that if she does anything other than what I suggested earlier, that rematch is going to go any other way? Come on.
Well, and Ellen also said after Ronda's, her screed, she said, "Good for you."
That's it, man.
And I heard something, I was like, "Oh my God!"
That's the kind of thing where you say like, man, when I have the rematch, and you look around the cage, and everybody's all of a sudden looking like, yeah, buddy, good for you. Yeah, when I fight Kane again, yep. Speaking of which, some people have made the claim that Kane is Lost Battalion.
Yes, Kane Velasquez is Lost Battalion.
I can't accept this. Maybe it's because he's a friend of Knuckle Up. Maybe it's because I've seen him fight against all odds and come back that second Junior Dos Santos fight, still vivid in my memory. I can't accept this right now, but I do understand that that's a distinct fucking possibility.
Man.
So those are my picks.
I can't argue with Honda, but I can't say Kane is done. This guy's had 3 strikes. He got knocked out on Fox. He got hurt and screwed up. He ended the Brock Lesnar franchise, too. Then he got knocked out on Fox. Then he destroyed Junior Dos Santos as a viable commodity. And then he gets hurt and blows Mexico City twice. He doesn't train for altitude, and then he gets hurt and doesn't show up for the fight. Like, I think they're extremely done with him.
Somebody just texted me. They want to know, do we have PR advice for Travis?
For Travis Brown?
The person who texted me is suggesting that he just knock up Ronda.
I think it's like the Dave Chappelle Oprah sketch, pretty much. Yeah, that would be a good gambit.
Except the thing, Ronda gets knocked up. She doesn't make movies anymore.
Right.
She doesn't fight anymore. Yeah. And then somebody's going to come around asking for the note on that house.
That's true. That's
but then
a
it
good
also
point.
goes to what you suggested in Knuckle Up about the fact that what people fell in love with Ronda was her being a badass, and the fact that the behavior as of late is anything but. So,
not just
I don't
a badass, a feminist badass.
Yeah.
And being running around with a accused.
You know what she could have done? She could have doubled down. She could have appeared on Ellen, and she could have said, "Oh, what do you think about Holly Holm?" And he's like, "Holly Holm? You mean that dirty piece of shit who cheated her way to a title?" Yeah, that's right. I said it. And just go full-blown fucking crazy. That would be that would turn the spot. All of a sudden, the mist of a Lost Battalion would recede, and you would find yourself where you think you belong, right on center stage, with the Klieg lights in your face. You know?
Chael Sonnen Sonnen is always a good career model in MMA.
Yeah, I mean, what he's the only other person, who was that cat, Team Quest guy, Matt Lindland, who was knocked the fuck out, and at some point they say to him, "Well, you were knocked out," and he goes, "Obviously the ref saw that there was a reason to stop the fight." Yeah, man, you were laying on the canvas looking at the sky. Obviously, man, sometimes crazy is your friend, And some of you might say, well, isn't that what Ronda did that already? Not really. Really. No, you got to go. The thing is, somebody else said in the comments on Knuckle Up, it's neither fish nor fowl. You don't get to choose. Now you're the heel, now you're the good girl. Now you're the good girl, now you're the heel. You got to go all in. The Holly Holm, where's our drug test? Anybody right away at this point now, I'm talking my way back into the rematch being the fight of the century. So people are not focused on my technique. They're not focused on my training. They just want to see a fucking brawl.
And they're not focused on your boyfriend. They're not focused on your suicidal thoughts, your manager, your mom, any of that. Yeah, that's excellent advice, Eugene. Ronda should go full Chael.
Yep.
And what kind of sandwich you got, Eugene? You got to tell the class.
I got soy cheese quesadilla.
Soy cheese quesadilla. Well, I hope
put some sauce on that.
No, there's no sauce on that. But what I'm waiting for right now, the comment is like, It's bad enough I gotta look up his nostrils. Now I gotta look into his mouth while he eats, you know?
I don't know if you remember the suggestion I had for you a while back, is you should eat on every show. I think that's one of the many things that sets you apart from other shows is
I like that.
this dude's gonna get on this show and eat like. And let me tell you, the next thing, and oh my goodness.
And another thing that guy said, I'm like the loudmouth guy. Look, I'm on book tour, on the Fight book tour. I'm by myself in Youngstown, Ohio. I'm sitting there in a booth. This big, fat fucking redneck is looking at me. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, hey, man, give me a hard look. I'll give you a hard look. He goes, hey. I go, yeah? He goes, can I sit with you? and I was like, sure, man. He gets up. He waddles over, squeezes into the booth opposite me, and then tells me a mind-roasting story about his former daughter-in-law having sex with the family dog. And I'm like, whoa, dude. And then right then, a transgender trucker walks in, and he looks at her or him, somebody transitioning clearly, and says to me, yeah, I can't figure it out either. You want to go to some place after, have some fun? And I was like, you know what, man? Any house of prostitution that will let you in is a house of prostitution I don't want to go to. So anyway.
And on that note, thanks for joining us. Follow us on Twitter at Eugene S. Robinson, at Kid Nate, at Alexi Old. Please give this a thumbs up. Eugene, can you thumbs it up with say, oh, there we go.
There's my thumb up, baby.
And leave comments on YouTube. Subscribe to MMANation.com. On YouTube at MMA Nation. On iTunes, visit Bloody Elbow. Read Eugene at Ozzy.com. And be sure to check out all three of us on Amazon.com. And we'll be back next week with another installment if I did it. And we don't know what we'll be talking about yet because the PR mistakes have yet to be made.